I trust you put on me, Baba, the money. Hey, yeah?
Clement, want pass immigration, police try to check them when I walk by.
Must you know I stay son of match.
Raja Mavle, never come and bobble come.
People who know me look at me as being a humble little guy, you know?
Show up, I mean, it's a lady. Madis, a kuma se vai mun tua vai.
Hello, excuse me, I'm back.
Voice of the People, Tuesdays at 9 p.m. only on Choice TV.
Be sure to like us on Facebook at Choice TV SLU. Stay up to date with the latest entertainment and news stories that matter most. What are you waiting for?
This is Song Effects. I choose Choice TV. When the rest is I choose Choice TV and I get for my station.
Choice, now that's TV.
The People's University is back, and we're celebrating 5 years of putting you first. Join the St. Lucia Labour Party for a public meeting and 5th anniversary celebration at the Castries Market Steps on Thursday, July 30th from 7:30 p.m. Come and hear directly from your political leader, Honorable Philip J. Pierre, and members of Team Labour as we celebrate 5 years since the historic victory of July 21st, 2021, and reflect on 5 years of progress in universal healthcare, early childhood education, social development, investment, and other matters of interest to you, St. Lucians. Join us as we celebrate 5 years of People First Leadership Thursday, July 30th at 7:30 p.m. The St. Lucia Labour Party, celebrating 5 years of progress. See you there.
Time check brought to you by Choice Media Network. This segment of the news brought to you by Bank of St. Lucia, all the bank you need.
Hello everyone, welcome to Choice News Now Prime. I am Kishana Smith. Watch the broadcast live on our Choice TV Facebook page, Choice TV SLU, and our YouTube channel at Choice TV St. Lucia, or listen to the simulcast. We're on Liberty Radio 92.3 FM. In the news tonight, post-carnival cleanup delays spark public concern over waste management. 1 year later, Choice TV revisits the landmark judgment on LGBTQ rights and its constitutional impact on St. Lucia. The SLTCC Depositors Camp builds financial literacy, leadership and confidence among young savers. And in news from the region, Barbadians pay final respects to national hero Sir Garfield Sobers. And our top story tonight, with members of the online public voicing their displeasure that plastic waste remained along roadways and continue to build up in public drains, and what seems to be post-carnival cleanup efforts continuing over a week after Carnival Tuesday, the festival's waste management has been placed under some level of scrutiny. Choice TV spoke with a St. Lucian circular economy and sustainable waste management expert and entrepreneur to discuss the situation, risks associated, as well as a possible solution and opportunities. Sienna Dalso begins our newscast.
The Wednesday morning that immediately followed Carnival Monday and Tuesday was marred by traffic caused by blockages of the inner lanes of the dual carriageway along the John Compton Highway to facilitate post-carnival cleanup by the Castries City Council. Whereas the police force stated that this was a necessary measure to completely restore the physical environment to its pristine state from Shock Estate to Castries City, members of the public returned to the issue, expressing their concern that plastic bottles remained in the drains along the route up to and a week after Carnival. The Choice TV spoke with Laura John, founder and CEO of Joa Kali Limited, a social enterprise that uses circular economy solutions to address waste management in small island developing states. John acknowledged the daunting task of cleaning up within half a day after Carnival's end.
I think the Castries City Council workers in particular are really performing an essential and very demanding service when we think about the expectation to restore the city after thousands of people have just moved through it within a very short space of time.
While it may be tempting to compare this year's cleanup to prior years, where some may say that they happened more effectively, John's position is that waste buildup is symptomatic of decisions and considerations made or not made during the event planning process. She further spoke to the risks associated with waste buildup within the public drainage system, stagnating water which may become mosquito breeding grounds, introducing waste materials into natural bodies of water, and reduced flood resilience within the city.
Castries in and of itself is prone to flooding. We're well aware of that. We know that steps are being taken to try to mitigate as much as possible the flooding that can happen in Castries. And I think it all goes back to being very intentional when we're designing events and when we're making those decisions to take into consideration these effects.
The present situation is one that highlights the importance of incorporating robust, sustainable waste management considerations into event design, a field that Joakali will be moving into.
There are many decisions that have to be made when you're planning an event that really speak to, in this case, as it relates to the waste, which is the result of the event. But even before we get there, decisions have to be made around what products can be sold, what sponsors can contribute or distribute, what packaging considerations are being made in terms of, are we allowing plastic or only compostable or biodegradable alternatives? Where are bins going to be placed? How frequently are they going to be serviced? All of these things.
The prospect of recyclers assisting with post-carnival and general post-event cleanups is one that John welcomed, but not without emphasizing that failures in waste management are not always solved with supplemented labor, but instead by intentionally resolving the issue at its source.
It really, for any event, starts from planning, and there is space for all of these actors to participate, and I think it would be great to have more participation and not have the burden fall on just one organization. But again, all of these things really need to be well coordinated and roles and responsibilities clearly articulated so that we can have what I would call a successful event is one where we're not seeing plastic bottles in the drain after the fact.
For Choice News Now, I am Sienna Dalso.
From pandemic-era lows in 2020 to historical highs of $16.75 per gallon, the dramatic surge in fuel prices has left minibus operators across the island struggling to keep their vehicles on the road. Geopolitical conflicts and ongoing global energy crises have driven crude oil past $100 a barrel, compounding the financial strain through crippling maintenance costs, inflated spare parts, and reduced daily productivity. Forced to complete fewer trips to conserve fuel while absorbing all extra overhead, local bus drivers are now operating on razor-thin margins, bearing the brunt of an escalating cost of living crisis. Phoebe Popo has the story.
Turn the key, check the tank, and calculate the loss. That is the daily morning routine for St. Lucia's minibus operators, who are finding it harder by the day to keep their wheels turning. Over 60% of the daily commuting population relies entirely on public transport to keep this country moving. Presently, the very network that powers our island is on the brink of an operational crisis. Since 2020, world events from global conflict and supply chain bottlenecks to soaring crude oil markets have driven local pump prices from manageable levels to past $16 per gallon. Compounded by the skyrocketing cost of vehicle maintenance, spare parts, and lost daily productivity, local minibus operators are absorbing crippling financial losses just to keep their engines running. A Sufre minibus driver describes the harsh economic realities of staying on the road.
It's a little hard, especially on the bus driver, Sometimes, especially these days, just only one down and one up and one down, So the little thing you're making, that not enough even to take out the vehicle. If if you have to go to have a payment every day, you will not get that. Your payment will be about $10 every day.
One Mack bus driver believes operators need government support, though she acknowledges the state isn't to blame for the high fuel prices.
I think they could try and help us a little better. They can do better. They could try and help us with the gas. But, we cannot say everything is the government at the same time because, it's not only in St. Lucia, it's everywhere. So it's not the government fault at the same time, but if they can help, they can do better, then they can help us with the bus situation. They know how it is, so they could help us.
One bus driver who piles the Babano route opens up about why the government should not be solely blamed for the financial toll of rising gas prices.
Fuel, I don't think our Prime Minister put a price on fuel to squeeze us. I understand what's going on, in the outer world, Iran and US at war, and it's always we that are going to pay for it. So it is something he has to do. But if anything can happen, to alleviate that little thing, give us a little pinch there, do something, it's something good for us.
With over 60% of St. Lucians relying on public transport every day, the struggle of local minibus operators isn't just an industry issue. It's a national one. As driver margins reach their breaking point, the call for sustainable solutions grows louder day by day. Reporting for Choice News Now, I am Phoebe Popo.
The growing practice of revelers abandoning elaborate costume pieces after crossing the judging stage is again drawing concern over safety, waste, and respect for the artistry of mass. While Tribe of 12 band owner Dr. Adrian Auger has called the trend a travesty, Culture Minister the Honorable Dr. Ernest Hilaire says the final decision rests with the individual reveler. Here's Phoebe Popo once again with the details in this report.
In a previous report, Tribe of 12 band owner Dr. Adrian Auger raised concerns about revelers discarding elaborate costume pieces moments after crossing the judging stage, leaving backpacks, headpieces and wireframes along the parade route. He also offered recommendations to help prevent the practice.
As far as the organizers of this event are concerned, there really should be a cleanup crew so that the next band following that sort of disaster does not have to go through it. That is totally unacceptable. And unfortunately, it takes a lot of the pleasure out of the presentation of beautiful mass to beautiful people, to an audience who has been waiting and hoping to see some real portrayal, some real creativity. For us to walk through that, I think, is a travesty.
During this week's cabinet press briefing, Culture Minister Dr. Ernest Hilaire was asked to share his perspective on the issue.
If somebody buys a costume, they have different reasons why people would buy the elaborate costume. Some do it for photos for social media. Some do it because they generally like to carry a big costume and to look good on the road. I don't know if somebody buys a costume and they no longer want to wear it and they discard it. That is kind of cultural disregard or disdain. I don't know. That's probably a little too purist for me, to be honest with you. I don't know. I think from a question of management of waste management is a serious issue that people just throw it by the roadside, whatnot. But it's our job to clean it up, and to get rid of it for them. But somebody pays their money and they have their costume for whatever reason that they have it. It is when it's your money that's paying for it, and it probably becomes a different issue.
Dr. Hilaire noted that the decision on what to do with a costume after it has been used ultimately rests with the individual reveler.
I don't think it is so much disrespectful, because I bought my costume on the road for 2 days. When I'm finished with it, I start preparing for next year's costume, so I don't know.
As Carnival continues to evolve, balancing reveler convenience with safety and respect for the craft remains an ongoing topic of discussion. The minister stated that while the topic is ongoing, there has been no major decisions made to combat the issue. Whether through stricter route regulations, designated disposal areas, or a cultural shift in how revelers value their mass, stakeholders agree that discarding costumes on the pavement after crossing the stage cannot remain the status quo. For Choice News Now, I am Phoebe Popo reporting.
Coming up 1 year later, Choice TV revisits the landmark judgment on LGBTQ rights and its constitutional impact on St. Lucia. And the SLTCC Depositors Camp builds financial literacy, leadership and confidence among young savers. These stories and more coming up after the break. Stay with us, the news continues.
Carnival costume to jump with just for fun. Use your BOSL Visa credit card to get it done. Two lucky winners go be chosen from the competition. To claim your prize, just say the name of the promotion. BOSL Road to Rewards. BOSL Road to Rewards.
Spend $5,000 before June 30th, 2026 on your BOSL Visa credit card to qualify. This promotion is approved by the National Lotteries Authority of St. Lucia. Terms and conditions apply. BOSL, all the bank you need.
Advertise to a captive audience. Make your business a star with Choice TV. Call today for your advertising package. Make the right choice. Call 728-9652.
If you suffer with pain from fibromyalgia, lupus, sickle cell anemia, sciatica, or arthritis, Lockley DeCoste doctor specialists from overseas in St. Lucia will diagnose and treat patients who have been suffering long. Lockley DeCoste specialists will treat the symptoms of stroke, brain injuries, spinal cord injuries with shoulders, elbows, knees, back, and neck pain, even plantar fasciitis being a pain of the past. Lockley DeCoste specialists in St. Lucia EMG tests will measure the damage in neuromuscular disorders and diabetic neuropathy, because Lockley DeCoste doctor specialist provides proper diagnosis using the most effective treatment for you to live free of pain.
Welcome back. As St. Lucia marks the first anniversary of a landmark judgment on LGBTQ rights, Choice TV presents a special expanded report examining its significance. In July of 2025, Theodule Belas and United and Strong successfully challenged the country's gross indecency and burglary laws. 1 year later, Choice TV's Sienna Dalso speaks with legal expert Dr. Kenny Anthony to explain the ruling, its constitutional implications, and what it means for St. Lucian society.
The 29th of July 2026 marked the first anniversary of an Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court ruling which struck down St. Lucia's gross indecency and burglary laws for their unconstitutional application to the nation's lesbian, gay, transgender, and queer community. In Theodule et al. V. the Attorney General of St. Lucia, High Court Judge Sean Innocent considered whether St. Lucia's gross indecency and burglary laws violated the rights of LGBTQ persons to privacy, life, liberty, and security of the person, freedom of expression, and non-discrimination on the basis of sex, and whether these laws are justifiable in a democratic society. The Choice TV spoke with Dr. Kenny Anthony to contribute to a more accurate interpretation and memory of the ruling and to promote the St. Lucian public's understanding and defense of rights enshrined in their constitution.
Basically, what the litigants in Theodule and elsewhere in the Caribbean have argued is that these laws offend equality before the law and the protection of the law, that they are not extending the protection of the law to the gay community in any way. And you are basically, these societies are applying law in a discriminatory way to different persons or different groups in the society. So the benefit of the equality before the law, meaning that everybody is entitled to the same measure of the law, to be treated the same way by the Constitution and by the laws enacted in Parliament, that if you're going to pass a law that is discriminating against a social group like the LGBT community, then in effect what you are doing is to deny them equality before the law, an equal treatment before the law. So that has become an independent basis for constitutional litigation.
One of Theodule et al.'s arguments surrounding Sections 1 and 13 of the Constitution characterized discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and preference as discrimination on the basis of sex, which was a position that the court accepted.
Essentially, the argument would be that if you enact a law that is targeting a certain group in the society, then what you are doing is to provide disproportionate treatment to that group you are discriminating against that group because you're not providing the same treatment, the same class of persons on an equal basis. So in essence, it is discriminatory.
Dr. Anthony said that he anticipated the constitutional challenge, noting that similar cases were brought to Caribbean and Commonwealth courts prior to Theodule et al. He described the series of constitutional challenges as an onward and unstoppable march, adding that much of the public resistance reflected not only a misunderstanding of the judgment, but also limited understanding of the rule of law.
First of all, I don't think St. Lucians quite understand their constitution and what it says, meaning that they don't understand that the constitution is really the fundamental law of the land. And all laws enacted by Parliament has to be measured against what the Constitution prescribes. The greatest protection that citizens can get in this country is their Constitution. Now, you may not always agree with how the Constitution is interpreted. You may not always agree with all laws enacted by Parliament. But the fundamental test is that the laws must pass the tests prescribed by the Constitution.
The public's perception and beliefs with respect to the LGBTQ community and their relationships, he says, also colors the perceptions of some societal spheres of the laws that were challenged.
These are social issues and they're hotly debated. We know, for example, the religious community has a view about the laws governing buggery, sexual orientation, and have a general view regarding LGBTQ communities because they interpret these laws in accordance with their religious beliefs and what they think the Bible says about these practices. So that they too don't even understand the full import and full implications of the constitutions.
Dr. Anthony said that this tends to be the case as St. Lucia and the wider Caribbean are still maturing as relatively young independent states. He argued that the government, including the judiciary, should not be criticized for bringing laws in line with the Constitution, since all state institutions are bound by it. Failure to do so, he says, is where criticism becomes most necessary.
Where the governments now are liable is for the maintenance of these laws which offend the Constitution on the statute books. And this then becomes the responsibility of the government to remove those laws from the statute books, even if it offends their own views of what the laws should be. This is not a matter of what they personally think. It is a matter of what the Constitution says is, within the four walls of the Constitution and what is acceptable to the Constitution. And they have to obey the Constitution. Otherwise, of course, then they would flout the very principles of the rule of law.
The Constitution is viewed as most potent where it is able to protect a minority, regardless of what the general public's view of that minority happens to be.
For the average citizen, if you tell them that the Constitution renders the laws of buggery unconstitutional and unlawful, they will tell you, I don't care what you say, those laws have to remain because that's a lifestyle I don't encourage. But the reality is that the strength of a society, the strength of a constitution, is really the Constitution's ability to protect a minority in the society. That is really where you begin to see whether people are committed to their fundamental rights provisions or whether they are not committed to the fundamental rights provisions. And you can't be committed for some fundamental rights provisions but not to other fundamental rights provisions.
Dr. Anthony urged Caribbean legislators to bring the region's various law books into better conformity with the Constitution, especially on account that a number of those inherited from the colonial era were written with little regard for the rights of the people to whom these laws applied.
I think it's a process, but it is also saying that the governments have to begin to debate those social policy issues, because where the governments fail to resolve issues pertaining to social policy, then what's going to happen is that people are going to go to court and the courts are going to determine the policy for them, which I think is a situation we need to avoid as much as possible. It is for the governments to summon the courage to prescribe what social policy should be.
He views public discussion surrounding judgments like the one offered to Theodule et al. V. the Attorney General of St. Lucia as a means of better promoting and upholding rights for all of society.
The way I see it, it's a process. And I think what these judgments do also is to sensitize the public, educate them, clarify the law for them, help them to understand the law. And we ourselves must not be shy to embrace that discussion and also to engage in that discussion. That's why, of course, I decided to grant you this interview, because I think, it's part of the process of enlightening the general public about what their constitutions mean and what is employed.
The case highlights the importance of civil society and non-governmental organizations in advancing human rights through strategic litigation, as demonstrated by United and Strong and the Eastern Caribbean Alliance for Diversity and Equality, ECAID. Dr. Anthony's call for lawmakers to reform unconstitutional legislation also underscores the need for even more CSOs and NGOs to strengthen their advocacy to ensure that social agendas receive higher priority within political, governmental, and legislative agendas. For Choice News Now, I am Sienna Dalso.
This is Choice News Now Prime. More news after the break.
Welcome to our Cruise Community Series, where we meet the persons behind the scenes who drive our diverse cruise industry. Today, we meet one of our amazing cruise agents.
Platinum Port Agency, we are a maritime vessel agency. Basically, we are agents for whenever maritime vessels need to come into St. Lucia. They need to be cleared with the government officials of St. Lucia, and we are the ones that facilitate those requests. Any foods, items, so you try to foster a relationship with the cruise lines, you exchange emails, try to create a human connection, different channels of economic stimulation that happens from that. You have, say, the drivers that need to get the persons to and from, or the goods to and from. You have farmers or suppliers. There's a lot of things that we do in the cruising sector that may not be on the front line for people to see, but rest assured we're getting it done.
Every day I'm shopping, picking up breakfast items, restocking the pantry, and you know what I always do? Swipe my Massy card. I mean, why shop without rewards? Every single purchase earns me points at any Massy Stores supermarket, gourmet, mega or home. Plus, I get money savers prices throughout the year, bonus points and promotions. If you are an NIC Gold card holder like my mom, just link your Massy card and enjoy 2.5% discount every time you shop. Remember, swipe your Massy card every time you shop.
Welcome back. Young depositors are being encouraged to build lifelong saving habits through the St. Lucia Teachers Credit Cooperative Union Annual Depositors Camp. The 5-day program combined financial education with leadership, teamwork, and recreational activities, giving participants under 16 practical skills to support responsible decision-making and personal growth. The initiative concluded with a closing ceremony celebrating the camp's achievements and experiences. More in this report. The St. Lucia Teachers Cooperative has reaffirmed its commitment to people helping people through its annual Depositors Camp, which concluded on Tuesday, July 28, 2026. The 5-day program catered primarily to depositors under age 16 who hold savings accounts through their parents or guardians. Participants engaged in educational and recreational activities designed to build confidence, leadership, and teamwork, while reinforcing the importance of thrift and financial responsibility. Cooperative President Peter Louisi highlighted education's transformative power, noting introducing children to saving at an early age can encourage sound financial habits and responsible decision-making.
We start very early and we start to educate our young ones. And if we start to educate you, when you get older, you will develop the good habit of saving. You will become very thrifty, and you will know the value of money.
Second Vice President of the St. Lucia Teachers Cooperative, Valerie St. Helen Henry, echoed the President's sentiments, explaining the overview of the engagement and emphasizing that the camp's primary objective was to instill the importance of saving and encourage participants to develop sound financial habits from an early age.
This camp is basically to educate them, to encourage them, to let them know what it is
to save, why they have to save. They are the future of the St. Lucia Teachers Credit Cooperative. And we also took them around. We had some fun activities. We visited the Comfort Bay in Viewfort, and we brought hampers for them. We also did a little activity with them with conflict resolution, because they are in groups and they have to learn how to interact with each other. We also introduced some sports like table tennis. We did some baking. They learned how to do pastry. They did some tie-dyeing, and they enjoyed it.
Onika Joseph reflected on the engagement, noting that the experience was nothing short of worthwhile.
Surprisingly, by the end of the first day, I was excited to return and continue. We went to 2 main tours, but the most interesting and novel tour to me was the visit to the aquaponics facility at the Babono Secondary School. I learned new ways to farm without soil. This was different from normal farming methods you'd see on a regular farm. I enjoyed many other fun activities at the camp. However, the most intriguing was tie-dyeing. I had never done tie-dyeing before. As I sit and consider how fun-filled and educational the camp was, I wish it was not so short. Depositors Camp was enriching and entertaining.
The annual Depositors Camp remains one of the St. Lucia Teachers Co-op flagship youth initiatives aimed at nurturing future leaders through education, financial awareness, and character development. For Choice News Now, I am Kishana Smith. Art is an avenue for self-expression, freedom, and creativity. The use of color is not merely aesthetic but symbolic, reflecting the complex social and historical narratives intrinsic to Caribbean identity. Visual arts projects frequently encourage youth to explore themes centered on Caribbean identity, nature, and community life. Young people use painting, music, and spoken word to connect with ancestral roots and process complex colonial histories. Hosted by Ellen Nats, the art exhibition hopes to nurture the artistic skills of the campers and to explain the processes involved in creating their work. Phoebe Pogo has the story.
Proving that creativity has no age limit, St. Lucia's youngest artists are letting their talent shine. On July 30th, hosted at the Castries Anglican School, the Art Escape Summer Camp exhibition, organized by Eleanorist and Nadege Charles, centered on the theme Exploring Culture and Nature. The showcase celebrated the nation's youth with a dynamic collection of mosaic and mixed media paintings created by children ages 5 to 13. The event not only highlighted technical skill built over the summer, but also reinforced the critical role art plays in youth development and self-expression, with field trips which exposed the children to the reality of St. Lucian culture. Organizers Nadege Charles and Eleanorist shared the purpose behind hosting this art camp and exhibition.
We have been doing summer camps for the past few years, but last year we decided to make it specific to art for the camp. So we want to get children meaningfully engaged in art activities and keeping them occupied during the summer vacation.
The pieces actually have a central theme, which is art, nature and culture. The focus, 3 different techniques. So if you look at the cultural designs, you would realize there's a focus on St. Lucian festival. So we have the La Marguerite, the La Rose, the Journée Creole, our national independence celebrations. So the children, actually, we had the discussions prior, and they got to choose which of the celebrations they wanted to depict in their creative designs. We also focused on the mosaic technique, where they created a picture using bits of material, and the other piece of artwork, the focus was perspective.
3 of the exhibitors shared the inspiration behind their paintings and reflected on what taking part in the summer camp meant to them.
Okay. That's my mosaic of a jelly coconut.
I use purple and blue for the background because it looks nice, and green for the jelly coconut because it makes it look realistic. This is the first one. This is a painting showing perspective. Perspective is how you see things in life. So the closer it is to you, the bigger it is, and the farther it is away, the farther it is from you, the smaller it looks. Well, the experience was good. I get to learn a lot of art skills and get to draw better.
Overall, the showcase was filled with more than just bright, illuminating colors. It was a celebration of knowledge and life skills. Children's faces beamed with pride as they were praised for their creativity and artistic freedom. Ultimately, the event proved to be more than just a gallery of young art. It was a powerful display of resilience, productivity, and unity amongst the nation's youth. Reporting for Choice News Now, I am Phoebe Popo.
The news continues after the break with PR Daily. Stay with us.
We could do something with that extra space downstairs.
You mean where your 25-year-old nephew refuses to leave?
Stop it, Eddie. I mean, the actual space. Fresh paint, new furniture.
An eviction notice?
We could fix it up properly, okay?
Okay, turn it into a rental. Make some extra money. I just don't want a second mortgage.
It's not a second mortgage. HomeFlex gives you a $50,000 line of credit using the freedom value in your home. You use what you need and pay down what you use over time. You can also use it for investments or even pay for your vacation.
And when is your vacation here ending?
Ask about a BOSL HomeFlex line of credit today.
Auntie, call me when food ready.
BOSL HomeFlex. Unlock your home's potential.
Moi quand tu as soupu dans mi baba de moi agent clairement moi passer immigration nga ko police toi chebe moi hawa ki bay moi fin rester seul no match
l'argent moi vrai nga fait comme un bobol comme
people who knows me look at me as being a humble little guy, you know.
Choma ba min lady mardi c'est comment c'est bay mon toi fay
moi ou pas fait moi pas fait hello excuse me I'm back.
Voice of the People, Tuesdays at 9 p.m. only on Choice TV.
Who would have thought that in the blink of an eye we could go from long faces to long bites? From waiting for dinner to start to wishing it would never end. From being distant to gathering around the table. Who would have thought that staying home would bring out the best in us? Who would have ever imagined that a simple bucket could do all of this, and that without going out, we could bring the best from the outside in?
Welcome back to Choice News Now Prime. Here is PR Daily with Sienna Dalsong.
Welcome to PR Daily, your trusted source for the latest press releases, important announcements, community initiatives, and events. I'm your presenter, Sienna Dalsong. St. Lucia's National Anti-Money Laundering Oversight Committee, NAMLOC, recently conducted a stakeholder consultation to review the findings of last year's risk assessment. That is in an effort to inform St. Lucia's preparation for the Financial Action Task Force mutual evaluation that's coming up. We hear more in this report.
The government of St. Lucia has taken another major step in strengthening its financial security framework, with the National Anti-Money Laundering Oversight Committee, NAMLOC, convening stakeholders to examine the findings of the 2025 National Risk Assessment. The assessment provides an evidence-based look at the country's exposure to money laundering, terrorist financing, and proliferation financing risks, while identifying vulnerabilities that require further action.
By us identifying our challenges, it allows us now to be able to make decisive decisions, set effective action plans, which will be guided on the basis of the evidence that we have collected.
Permanent Secretary in the Attorney General's Chambers and Chair of NAMLOC, Juliana Alfred, further highlighted that the report represents the culmination of extensive work involving government agencies, private sector stakeholders, and NAMLOC's subcommittees. The findings, she said, should not simply remain as a report, but be used as a tool for action as St. Lucia prepares for its next major evaluation.
We want you to embrace this report as a tool for action, a tool that will allow us to prepare as we get ready for fifth round 2027-2028. It provides us an opportunity to work on the deficiencies that we have highlighted in the report and to build on the work as well that the country has undertaken over the last few years.
The National Risk Assessment follows previous efforts by NAMLOC to strengthen St. Lucia's anti-money laundering and counter-financing framework. St. Lucia has also conducted targeted exercises, including a trade-based money laundering risk assessment workshop as part of efforts to better understand and mitigate emerging financial crime risks. Attorney General Leslie Mondesir noted that the latest assessment must provide a credible and accurate picture of the country's risk environment.
Our objective is not to secure the most favorable ratings, but to ensure that the conclusions are accurate, evidence-based, and truly reflective of our risk environment. Where the evidence supports a conclusion, it must be clearly articulated. Where gaps, inconsistencies, or uncertainties exist, they must be identified and addressed.
He added that the assessment is therefore expected to guide policy decisions, help agencies prioritize resources, and strengthen national measures to protect the integrity of the financial system.
The credibility of the final report will depend on the quality of the contributions made by the agencies and sectors represented here today. This exercise is particularly significant as we prepare for St. Lucia's fifth round mutual evaluation. The FATF methodology emphasizes not only the existence of laws and institutional frameworks, but also the country's ability to understand its risks and demonstrate that those risks are being effectively mitigated.
The success of St. Lucia's anti-money laundering framework depends on the continued collaboration of government agencies, regulators, law enforcement, and private sector to strengthen identified areas, develop action plans, and address outstanding deficiencies ahead of the 2027-2028 evaluation period. As St. Lucia continues its preparation, NAMLOC is emphasizing that the country's resilience against financial crime will depend not only on the laws and policies in place, but on the effectiveness of their implementation. For the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, Glenn Simon reporting.
Residents in the south of St. Lucia requiring dialysis treatment are set to benefit from improved access to life-saving care following the commissioning of the new dialysis unit at the rehabilitated St. Jude Hospital in Auger. The upgraded facility, outfitted with modern equipment and 14 dialysis stations, represents another major milestone in the phased commissioning of the hospital and the government's broader efforts to strengthen healthcare delivery. Health officials say extensive planning and coordination ensured that patients continue to receive uninterrupted dialysis treatment throughout the transition, whilst the new unit is expected to improve patient comfort, expand access to care, and reduce the need for many residents in the south to travel long distances for treatment. That's all for today's edition of PR Daily. If you have a press release that you want to share with our audience, do send us an email at news.choicemedianetwork@gmail.com. Thank you for watching PR Daily. Do stay tuned for more news and updates. Back to you, Kishana.
Thank you, Sienna. It's now time to take a look at the local weather forecast.
Every building pulses with its own life and energy. Let's ensure yours shines with health and vitality. Lewis Industries infuses life into every corner of your buildings with tailored cleaning solutions. From conquering mold and mildew, restoring floors to their former glory, to meticulous post-construction cleanups, washroom sanitizations, and caring for delicate fabrics and upholstery, our comprehensive services covers all your building cleaning needs. Create an environment that boosts productivity and leaves a lasting impression, because clean is not just an appearance, but a performance. Bring your workspace to life with Lewis Industries. Call us at 450-4060 or or visit us at www.lewisindustries.ltd.com to schedule your professional cleaning service today.
Sometimes the wife says me to pick up something she misses. Having a linked MasterCard means I can have my own card, but the points earned are combined with her points. That makes the points rack up fast. I mean, why shop without rewards? I was happy to hear that I could also earn points at MasterCard partners, like when I fuel up at Ruby's, pop into Ultramart, or convert my points into Caribbean Airline miles. That way, I can plan family vacation. Rewards, savings, benefits every day. Remember to swipe your MasterCard.
Welcome back. Here's Sienna Dalso once again with our regional news package.
Welcome to the regional news package. I'm your presenter, Sienna Dalso. Scores of Barbadians lined the streets to pay their final respects to national hero, the Right Excellent Sir Garfield St. Auburn Sobers. They watched as his funeral procession passed through the city on its way to Kensington Oval for the state service of Thanksgiving. We hear more from Anesta Henry with CBC News, as well as the voices of grieving and grateful members of the Barbadian public.
Sir Gary's funeral procession making its way through Broad Street. With reverence, Barbadians young and old observed the historic occasion. Many of them told CBC News they came from far and near to witness the event, which is a testament to Sir Gary's impact on the nation and the world.
This is a moment in a lifetime. Sir Garfield Sobers has done it all for Barbados. And all we have to do is to come and pay our final respects today. The world over knows the value of this man, and we know it as well. We're so glad to be Barbadians.
I feel so happy and sad at the same time to see a legend being buried today. And I learned a lot about him from my grandfather back in the day. I wasn't born yet.
As I coming out as a youngster, I always liked cricket. I always admire Sir Garfield Sobers as a cricketer, and he's a national hero for Barbados. And I can miss this opportunity to come and see this parade.
We all out there to respect Sir Garfield Sobers, right? Great man.
I am here this morning to view the state funeral of our Honorable Sir Garfield Sobers. And I heard about him when I was a little girl, but I never had liked cricket then. But as I grow older, I appreciate it. So seeing it's his last moment on earth, that's why I'm here.
Well, I came out today to pay my respects to my hero of Barbados and the cricketing legend of the world. So I hope that everything goes well and everybody pay the respects and keep quiet.
I'm here to see, the final passing of the Sir Gary. He was a good cricketer, inspiration for me as a batsman myself, and I just want to pay my respects, Just want to see him have his last send-off. Almost made 100, he still did a good run.
It's a very sad day for our country, but we are proud to know that he came from Barbados. And we're wishing everyone that's watching us now, this is a time of mourning for us, but also a time of great memories.
We're out to pay our respects to our national hero, Sir Garfield Sobers. I thought that I would make sure we bring our staff out and we're here to show our respects.
This was very important for us to come and pay our respects, support the family, and show up as a Barbadian to a great legend. And of course, it is history and it's good for them to see. And hopefully, if all goes well, in a few years' time, they should be in this business as well, because I'm a funeral director.
It's a very sad occasion, but also it's a historic occasion, saying that he's one of our national heroes.
Just a few of the voices gathered for the time of reflection, celebration, and remembrance of Sir Gary's life and contributions to cricket and Barbados. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Grenada's Ministry of Climate Resilience boasts completion of restoration efforts of a Caracou photovoltaic solar farm which had been previously destroyed by extreme weather conditions that struck the island a few years ago. The nation welcomes this latest step of Hurricane Beryl recovery and efforts to build resilience as the plant undergoes its commissioning process. We hear more from Christina John with GBN News.
The Ministry of Climate Resilience, the Environment and Renewable Energy has completed the reconstruction of the Limele Solar Photovoltaic Hybrid Plant in Caracou, marking a significant milestone in the island's recovery and transition to sustainable energy. The facility was destroyed by Hurricane Beryl in 2024, and the completion of reconstruction work paves the way for the restoration of renewable energy generated on the island. Director of Energy in the Ministry of Climate Resilience, Leslie Smith, described the completion of the project as a major accomplishment in the transition of Caracou and Petite Martinique to a more resilient and sustainable energy future.
This facility that sustained extensive damage during the passage of Hurricane Beryl in 2024 has been completely rebuilt using new and more resilient engineering design. The reconstruction incorporated many of the findings and recommendations of the Rocky Mountain Institute following a comprehensive assessment of the impacts of Hurricane Beryl on solar PV systems throughout the Caribbean. The recommendations that was taken on board from this study has really assisted in significant design improvements, enabling the facility now to better withstand Category 5 hurricanes and other extreme weather conditions.
Training and system testing are now underway ahead of the plant's official commissioning. Once operational, the facility will be managed by the Grenada Electricity Company Limited and integrated into the island's electricity grid.
Over the past few days, we have been engaged in completing successfully a rigorous testing and commissioning process, and we are now happy that the plant is ready for full commercial operation and the injection of renewable electricity into the grid in Caracou. So at the moment, we are having discussions with Grenlec as the loan utility and others on an operational framework. And in this regard, we have just completed a capacity development session for the ministry, for Grenlec, and for other stakeholders into how to operate and maintain the plant safely and efficiently for several years to come.
The Limele Solar Plant also supports the government's Solar for All program, an initiative aimed at lowering electricity costs and expanding access to clean, renewable energy for households. So far, 5 households in Caracou have benefited from the program, with officials expecting more residents to take advantage of the initiative as it expands.
The capacity of the plant is a 912 kilowatt peak system with 400 kilowatts of battery, up to 800 kilowatt hours of battery, which should be able to give at least in the first instance 2 continuous hours of operation when the sun is down. But the facility there is significant in the scheme of things in our efforts to bring Caracou and Petite Martinique to a 100% renewable energy for electricity generation. It's also going to result in significant savings. We anticipate that just about $1 million EC can be saved in fuel costs annually from the plant in Limele, and more savings can be generated, obviously, when the fuel price continues to rise or once fuel prices are rising.
An official handover ceremony for the Limele Solar Photovoltaic Hybrid Plant is expected to take place in the coming weeks. Christina John, GBN News.
Antigua and Barbuda's Agriculture Extension Division says it is helping farmers to conserve water while moving to improve storage facilities across the country's main farming districts as drought conditions continue to persist. Farmers who are without reliable irrigation are also being advised to scale back planting as prolonged dry conditions drive up production costs and place added pressure on local vegetable supplies. We hear more from ABS News' Shanakisha Francis.
For many farmers, keeping crops alive now means spending more on trucked water, pumping fuel, and labor. Ministry of Agriculture's Acting Chief Extension Officer, Ika Fergus, says the dry spell is not only disrupting production, but also hitting farmers' pockets and affecting the supply of local vegetables.
The spell has impacted the pockets of many of our farmers. We are seeing the operational costs are climbing because growers have to rely heavily on truck water services, supply extra pumping fuel and increase labor to basically keep some of these crops alive. And as a result, we're seeing increased stress on vegetable production, which naturally impacts all local market supply here on the island.
The division is not calling for a blanket halt to planting, but says advice should depend on each farm's access to stored water and irrigation. However, growers without reliable supplies are being urged to reduce or postpone open field planting until conditions improve.
We strongly advise farmers who do not have reliable water storage or a dedicated irrigation infrastructure to basically hold off or downsize their open field planting until rainfall resumes or soil moisture improves.
Shallow-rooted greens, including lettuce, spinach, and cabbage, are among the most vulnerable crops, along with tomatoes, sweet peppers, cucumbers, and melons. Farmers are being encouraged to use drip irrigation, mulching, and early morning or late evening watering. The division has also identified communal catchments and access routes across 5 agricultural districts for improvement.
We have engaged a number of private heavy-duty contractors who will be working along with the division to basically expand and upgrade these water storage sites and clear access paths, all in the effort of making water available to our farmers to increase and boost local production.
Farmers with secure water access are also being encouraged to consider short-cycle, heat-tolerant crops and shade house production. Shanakisha Francis, ABS News.
And that's all for the regional news package. Back to you, Kishana.
Thank you, Sienna. Our final segment is right after the break.
Great news! You can now check your bill balance 24/7 by dialing 457-3998 from your landline or mobile device. No need to wait for the mail or call into our customer service desk during working hours. Ensure you have your 7-digit account number on hand and follow the voice prompt for quick and easy access to your bill balance anytime, anywhere. It's fast, easy, and secure. Bill balance at your fingertips. Dial 457-3998, a fast, easy, and secure way to obtain your Wasco bill balance.
Courts presents their 2026 All-Range event. Be inspired at all Courts stores nationwide. Come see what's new in everyday furniture and appliances. Get a chance to win an Indorama 30-inch stove with appliance purchase of $5,999 or more. Great deals on TVs and wall mounts. Everyday great value on mattresses. Bedroom bundle deals up to 25% off. Be inspired at the Courts 2026 All-Range event. Affordable convenience for your home. Only at Courts. Bringing value home. Offer ends July 25th, 2026. Conditions apply.
It starts before the doors open, before the lights come on. It starts with us, the people. From learning and development, from the baker to the farmer, from heavy lifting to the smallest details, from behind the scenes to every aisle, every shelf made ready. It's people working, showing up every day for you. Marcy Stores, our family, serving your family.
Welcome back. Before we end the broadcast, there's our update. Global hunger has declined for a third consecutive year, with the proportion of undernourished people falling below 8% for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted businesses and food supply chains. According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World 2026 report, 7.8% of the global population is now considered undernourished. The improvement has been driven largely by a sustained decline across Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean, while Oceania has also recorded modest progress. Southeast and Central Asia have achieved particularly significant reductions since 2010. However, Africa remains the most affected continent, with undernourishment exceeding 20% in some regions, particularly those experiencing conflict. The report identifies war and instability as the strongest drivers of hunger, with West Asia and parts of Central and Eastern Africa among the hardest hit areas. The FAO projects that global undernourishment could decline by a further 20% by 2030, potentially reaching the lowest level ever recorded. And with that, we come to the end of our primetime newscast. On behalf of the entire Choice TV family, thank you for staying with us. Stay tuned for more quality programming on Choice TV.
1, 2, 3, hey, no other one but you. 'Cause beautiful is what you are.